Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to our session, Time to Get Certified. It's a pleasure to be joining you virtually. And I want to point out that we're now the National Payroll Institute, so we're excited at our new brand. You're going to be seeing some of the great graphics and the great work that's been done by our public relations team to launch the National Payroll Institute, formerly the Canadian Payroll Association. So welcome, everyone. With me is Chris Pacella, my sidekick, Manager of Professional Certification. We always have a lot of fun with these sessions, informing those interested in our designation programs, what's involved, sort of what the trends are out in business with regard to our designation program. So Chris, do you want to say hello?
Hello, all.
So Chris is going to be helping me curate some of the questions that come in. So please feel free to be using the Q&A box to provide any questions that you have, and at different intervals through the presentation, we'll make sure that we address those questions. Again, I'm Stephen Van Alstyne. I am Vice President of Education at the National Payroll Institute, and I've been with the National Payroll Institute. I just celebrated my 25th anniversary, so it's been a pleasure for me to have spent pretty much most of my career at the Institute. I was an actual payroll practitioner in my former life before the Institute for the Canada Post Corporation. I've been involved in training, education for most of my career, and really raising the profile of the payroll profession. So we're excited to share with you information on our certification and designation programs. So what we're going to do today is we're going to go over the following. We're going to talk about payroll, why it's a rewarding career, details about the National Payroll Institute, what is the Payroll Compliance Practitioner certification, the path to certification, how you get certified and designated, and how you get started. So some of you might be involved in the program already. You might have taken some courses. You might be interested in looking at what your route is within the designations that we've got. And we're going to address a lot of those issues and questions that you might have today through our presentation. So again, feel free to use that Q&A box if you've got any questions that pop up as we start talking about the information here. So why do people choose a career in payroll? I certainly didn't 30 plus years ago choose a career in payroll, but what is exciting is that payroll is an emerging profession. And it has gone from an administrative kind of back office operation to the professional career level. It's definitely an in-demand career. Every company pays employees, and many companies have benefits to administer. So this also helps with job security, looking at what you want to do, how you want to upskill and skill yourself, the credentials you want to hold, and the value that those bring. And certainly our credentials are bringing a lot of value to those who participate and take them. Many types of jobs are associated with payroll knowledge. It's not just about actually doing payroll, actually paying people. There's the processing side of things, of course. There's the management side of things. There's sales, there's human resources, bookkeeping, accounting positions, and all of those have an integration with payroll. So we think that a career in payroll obviously is a great choice for people to make. Another thing people are often wondering about is, what can I expect from a salary perspective? And the average starting salary in payroll is $49,500. And this is information that we've received from Robert Half's salary guide back in 2021. And careers can progress to the management level and do command amounts that are in the six-figure salary basis. So who is getting certified? Who is holding our designations? I want you to meet Ann Lee. Ann was originally got her certification when she was in British Columbia. And I want to talk about why that's relevant when I said she used to be in British Columbia. She completed her certification because she noticed that others in her office had taken the time to become designated. As an accounting supervisor, she found that payroll certification allowed her to grow professionally, increase her confidence in doing payroll and answering those employee questions, and benefiting financially through a raise that she received specifically because she had taken that step to become designated. She is one of countless examples that committed to her payroll certification and designation, and as a result, she enjoyed the benefits of it. And the reason why I mentioned Anne having formerly been from British Columbia is the certification and designation also allowed her mobility. She actually now lives in Nova Scotia, and that designation enabled her to secure employment almost immediately when she made that move. So the mobility aspect, and this is why it is a national certification. We get questions about why is, the Quebec content such an integral part of the certification, and that's really why. Because, you may be working at an organization today that doesn't have a Quebec payroll, but you find yourself with one tomorrow, or you may move to an organization that has a Quebec payroll, and because you're certified and designated, you can say that you have that exposure to Quebec legislation, regulation, and how you administer a Quebec payroll. So it's really, really critical. So the National Payroll Institute, I want to just touch on who we are, why that's relevant today, and our rebrand. And then Chris will take a pause for some questions. But the National Payroll Institute, we are a membership-based trade association that was founded in 1978. Similar associations include Human Resource Professionals, the Canadian Dental Association. So there's a lot of associations, and they're obviously the professional bodies for individuals that are specialized in those areas, whether it be HR or dentistry or whatever the case may be. We were founded as the Canadian Payroll Association, and we recently rebranded in March to become the National Payroll Institute. And we did so again to kind of harness our identity, separate ourselves from the accountants who are also the CPA. And it was just the right move for us to continue to elevate ourselves, and being considered an institute certainly gives us that recognition, because we are based on that kind of knowledge that individuals have. We are the experts in payroll legislation and payroll best practice. We're highly respected in the profession, and we're highly respected by government. Government often looks to us when they're making legislative or regulatory changes to determine what the impacts are going to be to payroll. We offer a comprehensive designation program and a wide variety of both online and in-class professional development options. And now that the pandemic is starting to wane, we're seeing that move back to in-person learning, which is exciting. We also keep our members up to date of any legislative changes, whether they be federal or provincial or territorial. We have tools and resources that are also provided to establish payroll best practice in organizations. And as I said, we advocate to government on behalf of our members to make payroll processing and administration as efficient as possible. So Chris, I'm going to take a pause there to see if we have some questions.
Thanks, Stephen. We have some fantastic questions, as a matter of fact. So I'm going to start with, is it possible to have a profitable career in payroll without a university degree or years of previous bookkeeping experience, just having an accounting diploma from college?
Absolutely. A university degree is certainly not a requirement. College certificates, college diplomas are not a requirement either. I mean, they're certainly valuable. We've done research in the past, and over 75% of our designation holders either do have a college or university degree, but it's certainly not a mandatory component. And I would say that a college certificate or diploma is every bit as valuable, because in some cases, particularly if you're doing business or accounting, it's very relevant to have those from a payroll perspective. So I wouldn't consider that a hindrance at all not to have university designation. Now, if you're wanting certainly to advance, I think that does give individuals, maybe a bit of a leg up. But Chris, do you have any thoughts or comments on that question?
No, education is important, but payroll is certainly a niche in the world of business, and the designation courses are what provide you with the theory to complete a payroll. So everyone's got a background in something, but a lot of people who come to payroll do not have a background in business even. So right. It just depends on your personal path.
Yeah, it absolutely does. And one of the big initiatives that we're undertaking at the Institute is career development and giving individuals some of those tools and some of those resources that are going to be critical to assisting them in having a successful career in payroll. So one of the things we're going to be launching down the road in the not too distant future is a mentorship program. Just a tools and resources repository that's going to help people on that journey. So, really your career is what you make it, as Chris identified. And some of those things like a college diploma or certificate or a university degree are certainly things that can assist you, but they're not in and of themselves something that's going to be a differentiator. You're going to be the differentiator. So, and we're here at the Institute to assist you to do that.
Right. I've got another great question here. I worked in IT, and last year I was hired as a business analyst for payroll. And I'm wondering if I should be getting the PCP designation or if it's not required, as I'm mostly dealing with bigger picture issues.
That is a fantastic question. And I've got some different thoughts on that because Chris talked about the fundamentals that you get with our designation program, the theory behind it. And I think theory always informs practice. And so I think the designation, while it might not be necessary, I think it would definitely be valuable. And if you're going to be a payroll business analyst, I really think it's like if you're an accountant or if you're an HR professional, whether you're a generalist in the HR side of things or whether you're, whether you're doing the books for a small business or you're doing audits for a big firm, you have those accounting designations. And I don't see payroll any different. I think if you're going to have a career, a payroll-related career, I think that designation is a differentiator. Now, you bring up also the business analyst component. And, certainly you're going to be doing work with analytics, with data, with payroll data. So getting to the data or getting to the gross to net pay isn't as significant for you as looking at labor costs and looking at the data to determine how an organization might hire or the headcounts that an organization is going to have, or like digging deep into the data to tell a story for managers in different areas of the organization. That is something that we've identified as certainly a future component, a significant future component of payroll. And we, as a result of that, are looking to integrate that into our designation programs. So I think you're going to find that those aspects are going to find their way into our designation programs in the not too distant future. In the meantime, we've got some great programs on the professional development side that do talk about data analytics, that do talk about key performance indicators, that do talk about technology, because technology is going to be a game changer for payroll moving forward. The different models that exist, which include roles, specific roles like payroll business analyst. So I do think that the designation is a valuable undertaking for any career that you're going to be doing in payroll, because it's not just about administering the payroll.
That's perfect, Stephen. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Chris. So let's take a look at the company we keep. We're excited to have, I think now we're over 21,000 members, and those members are individuals who hold the designation and they're professional members. We've got some that are candidate members that are on the path towards getting their designations. And then we've got some that are part of a big company that has big payroll departments, or an organization like ADP or Ceridian, who are big payroll service providers, Payworks, Deluxe Payroll, there's Workday, UKG, several big payroll service providers. And so they'll have individuals that work in those organizations and have lots of individuals that are designated. So they're organizational members. So we represent about over 40,000 actual practitioners, payroll practitioners. We have close to 16,000 certified professionals across the country. So that's a big number. And in 2021 alone, we had close to 1,700 graduates, individuals that got either their payroll compliance practitioner certification, their provincial, the Quebec payroll professional designation or the certified payroll manager. So those, again, year over year, what we're finding is people are retaining that designation. We're getting new graduates, and that's pushing our numbers up. And then organizations are looking for this as a requirement to hire within payroll. So the process. The National Payroll Institute is the leader in payroll education in Canada. And while payroll service and software providers such as those I've mentioned are the ones who process payroll and ensure your bank account receives a direct deposit, the knowledge obtained from certification will allow you to understand that legislation and to make sure that your numbers are correct with whatever system you're using. And as I said, I mentioned a few. And some smaller organizations are probably using technologies or softwares like Intuit. Those are great tools as well. But again, the user needs to have that knowledge in order to effectively use that technology. And both payroll professionals and service providers rely on our association, our institute, to keep them up to date. Professionals knowing the rules of employment, like overtime, just as an example, and service providers for ensuring their programs are compliant with new government legislation, like calculating that overtime, are obviously critical. So our certification seals, the Payroll Compliance Practitioner, or PCP for short, is the foundation for a career in payroll and essential for anyone processing payroll in Canada. Training is important in any profession. You wouldn't be an electrician or an accountant without training, and payroll obviously is no exception. The Institute has also a management level certification, the Certified Payroll Manager, or CPM, and the PCP is a prerequisite for the CPM. So those 16,000 designation holders I told you about all have their PCP. Another 4,000 of those 16,000 have their CPM. So there are so many reasons to be certified. Job readiness is one. So you can be hired and perform at a high level. More attractive to employers, they can be sure you're competent from the comprehensive education that you receive, and you'll have more confidence and earn the respect of your colleagues. So I'm just going to touch on that earnings component that we talked about before I look to Chris to see if we've had any questions. So according to Robert Half Canada, and Robert Half is an important partner of our organization because obviously we're a pipeline to assist Robert Half in filling roles, and there's a real, Robert Half has indicated there's a lot of opportunities out there. And they're that leading recruiter, and payroll compliance practitioners do earn more money, and they've indicated that it's up to $10,000 per year on top of their salary for those that are designation holders. And when you consider that, $10,000, that's $100,000 over the course of a decade. So that's pretty significant. So Chris, I'm going to take a pause to see if we've had any other questions that have come in the interim.
Absolutely. So quite a few questions about some CPE, so continuing professional education and maintaining the designation. People are looking for some additional information there. But first, some questions about the technology aspect. So is it beneficial to learn a specific technology, so like ADP or Payworks? It was mentioned recently from NPI that these courses aren't open to register year-round at this point. So are there other options available to get this kind of background, to get this kind of education?
Yeah. That's a fantastic question. We've been struggling with that at the Institute for a number of years because technology is an important component of practicing. Obviously, you need to use technology, whether it be a service provider, Chris again identified a couple, or whether you're using a software, because those are essential tools in how you execute the payroll. Having that foundational knowledge is key to how you understand, how you communicate with your employees. You can't, it's like garbage in, garbage out. If you don't know what you're doing and you're using a technology, that can be challenging. So we've had a technology course that has been around for 15 years, but it's really been limited to one academic institution. We've recently developed a second one, and other providers are looking to work with us to also offer technology courses. So we're looking to potentially in future make the technology aspect part of our designation. But in the interim, it's making it accessible and trying to build the capacity for volume in that regard. So it is, I'm going to be honest with you, it is challenging to get that experience, but it is important. And I think, you know, your opportunities for that are to start with organizations that utilize that, you know, make sure that you emphasize the fact that, you know, if you are adept at technology, that you're a quick learner. I've always said, you know, if an organization is looking to fill a role and they're looking for ADP experience, I don't think you have to necessarily have ADP experience if you've got some level of technical experience. And again, that can be challenging to obtain. If you've been utilizing things like Excel or other types of software or technology, I think that can demonstrate your adaptability to learning. But having the foundational knowledge is really key. And I think you have to emphasize that when you're going on the job search. And again, leverage if you do have that technology experience, but not the direct technology that a potential employer is looking for. Because the fact remains that whether you're utilizing ADP or whether you're utilizing Ceridian or whether you're using Payworks, those technologies all have a common thread through them. And if you've been used to using one, adapting to another one is commonly a very, I'm not going to say it's an easy step, but it's, again, you've got that knowledge and your ramping up to speed on a new technology is going to be much less than if you had no experience at all. So don't underestimate that experience.
Sounds good. And can you address the continuing professional education?
Oh yeah, the continuing professional education. Yeah. So when you look at designations, there's usually components to holding, maintaining a designation. And obviously membership in our institute is critical for that. You know, you have to be a member because that's demonstrating you're keeping up to date. You're meeting other requirements, of which CPE is one. So CPE is continuing professional education. And we're very fair in terms of what we classify as continuing professional education. We're not prescriptive to say it has to be something through the institute or it has to be a specific course. New learning that's keeping you up to date with your finger on the pulse of what's going on, reading our dialogue magazine, you know, participating in our professional development or other professional development that can be available. The Canada Revenue Agency is often doing podcasts and webinars that are very informative, keeping you up to date with what's going on with legislation. Service Canada, learning about ROE completion, those kinds of things. You can get that through us, but we're not limiting your ability to be able to get that through other means. So we've got the 14-hour requirement for the PCP for CPE on an annual basis and 21 hours for CPMs. And you just make that declaration. So that is a key component of holding the designation. And then, of course, adhering to a professional code of conduct. So those are the kind of the key components of maintaining and having and holding the designation.
Perfect. Thank you, Stephen.
Thanks, Chris. So the National Payroll Institute, we have conducted research in conjunction with Angus Reid of HR professionals. And from this research, we know that 81% of HR professionals say those with a payroll designation should expect a higher starting salary. So that is actually not just from Robert Half, that's also from HR professionals. And 79% agree that they would use designation as a tiebreaker between two otherwise equal candidates. So if they've got a couple of candidates that are fairly equally resourced with skill, and one has the designation, that is going to be what would break that tie. So again, I want to read a testimonial from one of our certification designation holders, and Sharon indicates that once I started the first PCP course, everything started to fall into place. I now began to fully understand Canadian payroll. It was like a light went on in the attic. I was now armed with information that enabled me to carry out my duties with confidence and with accuracy. And obviously, those are two key components to being a successful payroll practitioner. And this is the feedback that we find that we receive over and over. Payroll professionals gaining confidence and the ability by completing that designation. And here's another testimonial from a graduate who works in both payroll and human resources, because what we also find is individuals are looking to broaden their credentialing experience. And if they're in HR, there's a common tie to payroll, or if they're in finance, there's that common tie to payroll. And we find that we've got a lot of designation holders who have either the HR designation or the accounting designations that also end up getting the PCP designation or the CPM, and that stands for the bookkeeping community as well. So Madura said that my certification gave me confidence, knowledge, and made other people listen to me and respect my recommendations. It allowed me to actively participate in discussions with senior and executive management, and furthermore, it allowed me to make changes in my company. So Madura talks about having a voice after being certified and designated and being valued because of that, something that we all obviously strive for. So your pathway to certification. The Payroll Compliance Practitioner certification currently consists of 4 courses. There are 3 payroll courses: Payroll Compliance Legislation, Payroll Fundamentals 1, and Payroll Fundamentals 2. And I like to consider this kind of the legislative foundational component, the payroll from the employee perspective, and payroll from the employer perspective. So what I mean by that is, what are the implications to the employee for receiving their gross to net pay calculation, their pay statement, and everything that's involved with that? So determining what's a benefit, what's taxable, what's not, what's an allowance that's taxable or not. What's the implication of RRSP deductions that happen through an employer, and how are those impacted through the payroll? And then on the employer side, that means what are my reporting obligations to government through remittances, my accounting obligations, my journal entries that have to be entered within the system, year-end reporting, T4s, Releve 1s if you've got Quebec payrolls, and so on. And then the final one is the credit transfer for Introduction to Accounting. So currently there's a plethora of Introduction to Accounting courses that exist out there through post-secondary academic institutions. We've got a repository that lists, some of you may already have an Introduction to Accounting course that is already been basically approved for transfer credit purposes within our credentialing side of things, and you just simply have to have that course, that transfer credit. So we charge a nominal administrative fee to actually have that accounting course credited towards your certification designation within our system. And then the final step, of course, is our experience requirement. So we need to have a weighted 1 year of payroll experience, which you have 5 years to obtain. Some people come to the courses with that. Some get that as they're taking courses, and others need to go out and get that sort of first opportunity in order to build that experience. And again, you've got that five-year window within which to do that.
Hey, Stephen, we've got a good question on that exact topic for you here.
Excellent, excellent.
So the application for the work experience requirement mentions a lot of different aspects that are needed to be filled, such as how many employees, what industry, what percentage of time is spent on payroll activities. What if an individual doesn't fill one of the responsibilities, like they don't do any journal entries or they never do a reconciliation? Right. Would they still get the designation after successful completion of everything else?
Yeah, what we do with the experience requirement is there's an algorithm that looks at the balance of all of those different areas, and Chris hits on one, journal entering and accounting. Like, that's not necessarily a key component of payroll, but if you have some exposure or experience to that, you can sort of list that in your proportional representation of your experience. We just want to make sure that somebody's not just strictly doing data entry into a payroll system, because that's really not reflective of what's involved with payroll. or the year-end process or the termination process. You'll see those different kind of breakouts as to what it is we're looking for from an experiential component. But that algorithm actually looks at balancing all of that information out to give you a representative value of what amount of time that represents. So again, if somebody's doing payroll part of the time, and you're doing payroll part of the time for a year, you're not going to get a year requirement out of that. You know, it might take you a little bit longer to build that 1 year of it's called weighted experience. So we're looking at time. We're also looking at a balance of the different roles that you have related to payroll. But, you know, not having a significant amount of payroll accounting experience is not going to, you know, disadvantage you from an experiential experience component.
Excellent. I've got a couple more questions for you around the Introduction to Accounting course.
Yes.
And how it is transferred in. So 2 different scenarios. One is, what if I took my accounting course from another country, from outside of Canada? Mm-hmm. What do I do? The other one is, what if I took the accounting course ways back? Does it still qualify?
Yeah. So I'll answer the questions, and then Chris, you know, Chris being the professional certification manager, obviously has some great insights as well. We've got a team, a credentialing team that actually deals directly with this. But what ends up happening is that, and in some cases, we have that assessment from other international courses that people have taken from other countries. But we have a way of evaluating to make sure those learning objectives are met through those Introduction to Accounting courses. So it takes a little bit longer. But we certainly do recognize, because let's face it, accounting much more so than payroll is much more, there's the international borders aren't as significant with regard to accounting. But obviously we can assess those courses that have been done at, you know, Douglas College in Vancouver, or Seneca College in Ontario, or Nova Scotia Community College out in Nova Scotia. Like, we've literally got all of those schools, those academic institutions that we've assessed those courses at. We just have to look at those courses to make sure they're meeting the learning objectives that we've established, looking at the transcript, validating it. So sometimes it just takes a little bit longer to do that. So that's the kind of the international aspect. The timeliness of accounting, again, I would argue the same thing. You know, a debit is a debit, a credit is a credit. We're not expecting somebody that took a course, because I noticed somebody specifically said, I took it back at, I think it was BCIT, the British Columbia Institute of Technology, back in 1991. Would we require you, would we say, oh, that's too old? Payroll or accounting has dramatically changed. You have to take a whole new course. No, we've certainly relaxed our thinking around that. So if you have a course that you've taken in accounting, we're certainly not going to make you take another course. The other thing we do is, if you hold the CPA, for example, you're a certified professional accountant, we're not going to make you take Introduction to Accounting if you don't have a transcript that shows you've got an Introduction to Accounting course because it was taken a long time ago. Our understanding would be that if you are a CPA, you know how to do accounting. It would be, you know, I think it would be a bit of a slap in the face to say you have to take an Introduction to Accounting course at that point. So we're providing, you know, pathways. We're making sure we're not putting obstacles in place for people. We're reasonable in how we assess those things. And as I say, Chris has a team of credentialing specialists that look at all of this. So, Chris, did you have anything you wanted to add on that note?
Sure, absolutely. Yeah, for the international aspect, from a process standpoint, the best route is to get a Canadian equivalency and submit that along with the official documentation to the credentialing group. And then for courses that are 10 years or older, we ask that along with the official documentation, you submit a resume that shows kind of your career path and that you've been utilizing that accounting knowledge in your position over the years. And that just kind of verifies that you got the educational, you got the theory back a few years and have continued using it and have stayed up to date utilizing that knowledge in your profession.
Great. Okay, moving on. So there are definitely convenient course options. And I think the convenience of the course options we provide don't leave you sort of in a holding pattern for 3 or 4 months to have to wait until courses are offered. There's 3 great ways you can take courses, and I think the convenience of those methodologies enable you to be moving along your path towards certification and designations very efficiently and at the pace that you're comfortable with. So you can do it online through the National Payroll Institute. We have courses that start every month of the year, so there's always an upcoming start date that is close to today. So that's great flexibility. We offer in-class, and by in-class, I'm putting that in air quotes because obviously in-class changed over the pandemic. And what we're seeing right now is that there's a lot of virtual offering that is being provided by academic institutions where they're virtually having the instructor teach to students that are not coming into an actual physical classroom at this point. But we're starting to see that return to an in-person class experience happening. And that's what a lot of people value in terms of using that modality. Being able to go in, network, be directly with an instructor. You can ask questions with synchronously, like real time. Those usually start in January, in May, and in September. But that May intake, that intake that's happening right now is usually the smallest intake. And the third way is through challenge. So a lot of designatory bodies enable people who've been working in the field to challenge the courses because you've built a knowledge based on that. So those with payroll experience can challenge the course exams. They receive the material, and it gives you the opportunity to look and verse yourself with what it is we consider the necessary learning objectives for those courses. And then you have a time period within which you have to complete the examination, the final examination. So that's a kind of a fast track methodology. So how long is each course? Those are the common questions. How long is the course? If I've already taken Introduction to Accounting, what do I do? Are there any other requirements that you have to have? We've touched on some of these. So each course is approximately 13 weeks, whether you do it online or whether you do it in class. As I say, challenge is a different ball of wax, right? Because you're actually receiving the curriculum and you can write the exam at any point in which you're comfortable to do that. So again, it's a methodology of sort of fast tracking, but every other course is about 3 months in length, a little over 3 months. If you've already taken the Introduction to Accounting, as we said, you provide that transcript, you can be exempt from having to take it. There's a small fee that takes place with that, and it's just that one transfer credit for PCP. There is also that work experience requirement, and we've touched on that a little bit through talking about the experience algorithm that we have, the experience assessment that we've got internally at the association. So once you complete those courses, you're invited to submit that experience requirement. So with any product or service, people want to know, how much is it going to cost? Well, PCP certification courses are affordable no matter how you choose to take them. Online pricing is about $600 plus tax per course, and you're going to receive support from an instructor, virtual instructor, I would qualify that as an online instructor because it's not synchronous, it's asynchronous. So they're there to support you, but they're not there real time to support you. And we're looking at, as we advance our technology, our learning management systems, to look at how we can better support our online students in a more synchronous manner. So be looking for that as we move forward. So you get you have discussion board interactions, and you certainly receive learning materials, both curriculum-wise as well as through the learning management system. Challenging the course is $469 plus tax per course and includes just the learning material. You don't get access to the learning management system with the exception of writing the exam through that LMS. And part-time classroom ranges in the price based on the college fees, but the base price is $340 that we charge, and then you have to register with the academic institution. And that can range anywhere from $300 upwards of $700, depending on what province you're taking that in-class course through. So obviously, the most affordable methodology is that online, but there's obviously benefits in having access to instructors through taking it through the in-class option. So you really have to weigh what is going to work best for you. Try not to always look at the kind of the affordability aspect of it. You really need to determine what is going to be most valuable for you. And then membership must be purchased, and we make the membership fee, it's a candidate membership fee, $99. We want to make it as affordable as possible because we know students are making that investment in tuition. So it's $99 annually. And some people have completed all the payroll courses within a year. And then once you get all of those requirements, get your experience, transfer your credit for accounting, you could get designated within a year. And then you start paying either an organizational fee, you become part of an organization, or you pay your own professional membership fee. So one more testimonial, and then we'll look to take some more questions. And this is from another former student, Oscar, who completed both the PCP as well as the CPM designation. And he had this to say: I'm very thankful for the day that I decided to start my National Payroll Institute designation. For me, this was the way to validate my professional experience in Canada and opened many opportunities in my new home country. So Oscar came to Canada, had experience, financial related experience as in his country, and was able to take our programs to designate himself in payroll in Canada. And that created opportunities for him after having done that. Chris, do we have any questions?
We sure do. We've got some great ones. All right. Let's start with how would getting the CPM certification benefit me?
Great question. So the PCP is foundational. The certified payroll manager is, and we've, as I say, we've got about 25% of our membership, our designation holders are CPMs or GAPs in Quebec. And they basically, this is a managerial level course. So, a lot of the content isn't going to be payroll specific necessarily, because you're learning managerial components of how you manage a payroll at an organization, or some of those roles that require project management skills, because project management is an aspect that we cover in the CPM program. Employee development, the common things that you think about, organizational behavior, the common things that you think about from a managerial experience perspective. However, we do have, what are the decision-making components to managing a payroll function or a payroll role at an organization, like doing implementations for a payroll service provider, for example. Strategy, again, looking at benchmarking really high-performing payroll departments in other organizations to get yourself to that sort of established benchmark. So it's really going the next level beyond the PCP. Chris talked about PCP as being foundational, that knowledge, that base knowledge of calculating CPP, calculating employment insurance, how do you assess taxable benefits, that sort of thing. Well, CPM is much more about decision-making, doing implementations, analyzing data, those kinds of things. So, and as I say, we're going to be advancing the curriculum within the CPM program definitely over the next couple of years, leveraging our great learning management system that we're moving to.
Excellent. Okay, next up, I've got, can you speak a little bit more about the process to challenge a course? Is each course challenged separately, or is it just one challenge exam for everything? And how do you get the CPM designation afterwards?
Right. So each course, again, I talked about PCL, Payroll Compliance Legislation, PF1 and PF2, Payroll Fundamentals 1 and 2. Those are separate challenged courses. Now, what we've found people have done is they might not need to challenge all of them. They might want to take one in sort of the 13-week format and maybe challenge another area where they have more strength or knowledge. You can do that. You can challenge each course individually. You do have to challenge them each individually. So that you need to do. You can't take it. It's not a collective challenge. And Chris, sorry, what was the other aspect of that question?
Sorry, caught me with my mic off. Once you take the challenge exams, how do you get the CPM?
Oh, the CPM.
Does it affect getting the CPM designation?
Yeah, it certainly wouldn't affect getting the CPM designation. So once you get that PCP, if you've challenged it, you hold the PCP. So that gives you the opportunity to be able to. Now, you have to do an experience requirement for the CPM. So you need the experience to get the PCP after you've taken the courses. You need the experience to move on to take the CPM, because we want people who have more experience in administering and managing payrolls. And managing payrolls is different, remember, than managing payroll departments, which is an aspect of what the CPM teaches you. So there's no opportunity to challenge the CPM courses because they're more case study based. So there is an important aspect of group assignment work that gets done in that program, which again is teaching you the aspects of managing teams and working in teams. So there's aspects that you learn from that experience in taking those CPM courses, but having challenged the PCP courses doesn't inhibit you from doing that.
I've got the questions are coming fast and furious now, Stephen. So on that note, are there any sample challenge exams to see if we are ready without having to pay the full challenge exam fee?
There absolutely is. So we've got the Payroll Knowledge Evaluator on our website, and that enables you to test your knowledge. And it's one test that tests your knowledge in all areas: payroll compliance legislation, payroll fundamentals 1 and 2, and it'll give you a score in each of those areas. So you can see what your strengths are, where your weaknesses might be. You might still make the decision to challenge, but it'll assist you to know where you need to kind of focus your attention when you receive that curriculum to make sure that you are fully understanding it before you just go right into challenging an exam, because basically the exam is 100% of your mark.
Perfect. A pandemic-related question for you.
Okay.
I attended the exams online for the first 2 courses that I took. What's the current scenario with regards to attending examinations? Are they going to be physical? Are they going to be online?
I think this is a great one. Chris, do you want to handle this one?
Sure. We
Didn't
don't
mean to
know.
Put you on the spot,
Yeah,
but
that's okay.
yeah.
That's okay. It's complicated.
Yeah.
Right now, things continue to be online. Most of the affiliated colleges and testing centers have remained closed, and we're waiting to sort of see what happens, what develops with regard to this. But for the time being, it's going to stay as online.
Okay, great. So do you want me to just continue, Chris?
Yes, please.
Okay.
Thank you, Stephen.
Okay, thanks. Yeah, we've only got a couple of slides left, and then we can kind of wrap up with some questions that we still have maybe outstanding. So how do you get started? Because some of you maybe aren't on your path yet, and you're looking to what path you're going to undertake. So if you would like to sign up for certification courses, the great news is it's quick, it's easy. Sign up can be completed online at our website at payroll.ca. We accept both credit card and debit card payments on the website, giving you different payment options to choose from. And registration closes usually 5 business days before the course starts. So make sure that you're planning out your path, and that you're making sure that you sign up in time to be able to undertake or start a course that you're looking to start, because you don't want to kind of leave that too close to the start date, because you might be disappointed and have to wait another month before you start. And certainly it's important in the public school environment as well. And we do have many private career colleges actually that offer our programs as well. And those are part of a more full-time learning program. So that that kind of covers how you would get started. And Chris has got a great team of coordinators within our professional certification team. So if you've got any questions from an administrative perspective as to how you sign up and register and get started, it's pretty intuitive. But if you have any difficulties, challenges, they're all there to support you. So at this time, we're going to just see if there's any outstanding questions that we didn't get to. And then what we'll do is we'll put up an email address, and I'll do that actually right now. I'll say thank you for attending, but we're obviously going to deal with some outstanding questions. Here's our website, payroll.ca, certification at payroll.ca. If you have any questions, our great team will be there to support you. There's the 1-800 number, extension 272 will get you directly to those individuals. But we'll wrap up the session with Chris just firing out some questions to sort of wrap up our information session for those of you that are participating today.
Perfect, Stephen. Thank you. A question, is it beneficial for a self-employed person doing payroll to have a PCP designation?
I would say absolutely yes, because I think it gives your client base the confidence that you really understand what you're doing with regard to payroll. I don't think you can, we can discount the value, as I said, that holding the designation brings. So I really think that that's sort of a feather in your cap as somebody that's, going to be working with organizations, holding yourself out as somebody who's knowledgeable with regard to payroll. I certainly, if I was making that choice, would feel more comfortable with somebody that had those letters behind their name than somebody that did not.
Excellent. And a little clarification required on the fee structure. So they're wondering if a course is taken through a college and there's a fee, do they also have to pay a separate fee to NPI? And what happens if they already have a membership with NPI through their organization? Does that affect the fee as well?
Yep, all great questions. So let's say you are at an organization where you're part of the organizational membership. You want to take a course and you've decided you're going to take that course at an academic institution here well, I'm saying here in Ontario. I'm actually not in Ontario right now, but let's say it's in Ontario. So you don't need to get a membership. You don't need to get the candidate membership. You would be a part of an organizational membership that's already a member, so you already have that component addressed. So you don't need to do anything there. You then need to do the dual registration if you're going to take it at an academic institution. So you need to register with the academic institution, and then you need to register with us for just the course. And then you're on the path to taking the course.
Perfect. Another question about the experience requirement. What aspect of the experience requirements holds the most weight? Is there something that you have to have?
Yeah, as I say, the kind of informational data entry side, we want to make sure that weighting is lower. Because again, we don't want somebody that's just simply doing data entry, because that's really not payroll. It can be an important part of payroll, like updating an individual's name and address and their TD1 information and things of that aspect. So that we weight a little bit lower. It's the administration side that really we put the greatest emphasis on. So actually doing the payroll, validating the payroll, making sure that all the information is in the system to transmit the payroll on a pay cycle basis. The accounting side would be weighted a little less heavily as well, because that's often not seen as a kind of an essential part of the payroll process. It's an important part. That's why accounting is a course that we have as a transfer credit requirement, because oftentimes people in payroll have to communicate with the finance or accounting department from a journal entering perspective. And then things like year end, like obviously year end is an important part of the annual cycle. So these things kind of weight equally, with less emphasis on the data entry information side, less emphasis on the accounting side. There is a management component that we put a very little emphasis on, because some people haven't had the opportunity to manage, but we see that as a valuable component for the potential to get that experience requirement.
Perfect. And I've got one last question for you, Stephen, or you can pass this one over to me. A question: can I start processing the transfer credit for accounting while taking the first 2 courses, or do I have to wait until I finish the courses?
Yeah, you can you take that one, Chris.
Sure, no problem.
I like to share.
Excellent. Yeah, the transfer cannot occur until after you have successfully completed your first course, so the payroll compliance legislation course. Anytime after that, the introduction to accounting course can be submitted for transfer of credit. And the reason for that is we want to make sure that you're committed on your path to the designation, and that you've had some success before you submit that application and pay the transfer of credit fee for that. Perfect. I've got a couple more. You've got you good to take a couple more, Stephen?
Absolutely. Yeah,
okay.
We want to make sure that we're providing as much information as we can.
Excellent. Does the payroll experience have to be from after you start the course, or can it be prior experience?
Oh, it can absolutely be prior experience. So again, as long as it's within a 5-year window prior to you taking that course, because the challenge with payroll is if you've done payroll 10 years ago, because payroll is so dynamic and changes, we've put a 5-year window prior to starting the course as the window in which you can apply that experience. But if that experience is older than that, obviously, it needs to be more up to date. So 5 years prior to starting the courses, 5 years after you start that first course.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Stephen. That brings us to the end.
Great. Well, thank you so much, everybody, for joining us. And we wish you at the National Payroll Institute the best of luck as you make your decisions around the path that you want to take. But we hope you decide to become a designated payroll compliance practitioner and possibly a designated certified payroll manager. Best of luck with all of your studies and your careers in payroll. Thank you.
Thank you all.